In order to meet our targets, global greenhouse gas emissions, need to be halved by 2030, for the world to limit its temperature increase to 1.5 degrees Celsius. And deep reductions are needed to reduce the impacts of climate change. However, in its first global stocktake, the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change concluded that the world is not on track to meet its goal of 1.5%, above pre-industrial levels. Canada is taking action on a number of fronts, but it remains clear that implementation needs to accelerate and action needs to be more ambitious. It needs to take an all-society approach and to make progress towards our Paris goals and to respond, to the climate crisis more broadly. And I'll reiterate this point a couple of times in my presentation today. It will be very important for all of us to work together. The Pan-Canadian Framework and the Emissions Reduction Plan for the Government of Canada outlined how we will be achieving our goals of 40 to 45% below 2005 levels by 2030 and net zero emissions by 2050 across all economic sectors. Our Emissions Reduction Plan, specifically released in 2022, presents an achievable but very ambitious roadmap to getting to where we want to get to by 2030 and to more broadly accelerate our work by 2050 towards that net zero goal. There are big sectors that we need to address. Oil and gas, about 26% of Canada's emissions. Transportation, 25%. Buildings, 12%, and I'll touch on that number in my presentation. And then down through heavy industry, agriculture, electricity, waste, and other sectors. But we have some big sectors that need to be addressed, and our built environment is one of them.